What does it feel like to be poor in the UK? The United Kingdom is one of the countries people run away to in order to escape from poverty. And true to the aspiration of most of these migrants, once they cross over to the United Kingdom, they have crossed the poverty line. They usually break free from the shackles of destitution. To people with such hopes and dreams, it may be shocking to learn that a significant portion of the UK population is living below the poverty line. But we have to add that the line of poverty is drawn according to special measures. Hence, it is important to ask the question, what does it feel like to be poor in the United Kingdom? What does the country's poverty mean? Is there poverty in the UK? An insight into the reason for the question is contained in recent data based on incomes published by the Department for Work and Pensions, the DWP. This data shows that after factoring in housing costs, the number of people living in relative poverty in the UK is around 21% of the population. That's incredible, you'd say. But at about the same time, the Institute for Fiscal Studies reported that about 21.6% of Britons were in relative poverty. Another body, named Full Fact, conducted research into the British poverty rate and found that it is almost exactly the same level as the EU average of 17%. This is lower than the DWP figures, perhaps due to differences in their methods of calculation between countries. Yet this stat shows that there's a good number of poor people in the United Kingdom. If you were from a country considered less affluent, you wouldn't want to believe these figures. And that's understandable. The UK, in the view of many foreigners, has no deal with poverty. Nevertheless, a British government figure about poverty reveals that there are 2.3 million children living in poverty in the country. Considering the population of children there, that means 1 in 6 children in the UK is living in poverty. It's interesting to note, however, that government considers this an achievement and an improvement because it's the lowest level since the 1980s. What do all these show? It tells us that there's poverty everywhere and the UK is not exempt. One thing to be added that softens that stance and assertion is the phrase contained in the reports of both the DWP and the Institute for Fiscal Studies. Both of them refer to the number or percentage of the population living in relative poverty. Please note the word relative and place it side by side with the opposite word absolute or abject. Are you getting a sense of it? The poor people making up the substantial figures mentioned earlier aren't living in abject or absolute poverty, not necessarily in penury or in relative poverty. This, therefore, sets a solid ground for our question, what does it feel like to be poor in the UK? The poor in the UK. Now that we have established the fact that poverty in the UK is relative, we can see that it bears no semblance to the actual poverty being experienced by really poor people. It can be said to be boring. In other words, the poor people in Britain have too much time to spend but lack enough money to enjoy it. This sharply contrasts with the feature of poverty in many other lands. The poor people hardly have time to rest. They work from dawn to dusk before they earn little just to get by. They can't afford 3 meals a day or other necessities of life. However, the main feature of UK poverty is that there will always be some money that the poor can dispose of. This is available through the benefits system. For that reason, people there hardly don't die from being too poor, perhaps lacking access to medical services or being malnourished. Many poor people may, for instance, prefer not to or are unable to heat their homes or eat properly. This is not because they can't afford that necessity, but it's because they are desirous of what more prosperous people can enjoy, namely drinking or smoking or anything else that makes them happy. In extreme cases, which are rare anyway, some actually live in poverty. If you live in or close to big cities in the UK without a regular income, you may not experience a real lack. Some people are actually sleeping on pallets as they don't have bedding. Others have to sleep on sofas. There are other homeless people who actually sleep on the streets. It's so tough to be poor in this country. Some people get by with just plain pasta or rice, with or without salad, for years, not because of medical reasons, but for economic reasons. To be fair to that society, it is doing everything possible to insulate people against such extremes. If you find someone living in squalor in the UK, there must be an explanation. It is either the person is hooked on drugs, gambling, or some other addiction, or she becomes a single mother too early. Such ones are mostly forced into crime and sink deeper into poverty. They are usually under constant watch by the police. Worrying about debt or police is not fun, just like sleeping elsewhere, except in bed is not. What it does feel like. As just mentioned, it is far from fun to be poor in the United Kingdom. In an attempt to give you an opportunity for a humanly decent living, you will become part of the social welfare-dependent underclass when you are poor. You can become a subject of prejudice. You find all your self-esteem eroded. The benefits are a support network that has been intended to be a safety net. But once you are caught in that net, you lose some of your freedoms. Yes, you will have what can be considered your needs taken care of with the pittance you are getting. But who really wants to get by with that? You must constantly worry about your ability to pay and have to choose between paying the bills and getting groceries. Because you are poor, you always have reasons to determine what you can put off so you can eat. You certainly need to shelve or put some services on hold so you can eat. It's tough to search for work so that you can get off the hook. The chances of improving your life are severely limited. You can't be on income support and improve your worth. Even if you're having a kid under 5, you're expected to job hunt. You may have to explain why you must remain under support for more than 6 months because you are expected to have landed a job. Meanwhile, you may not be able to take certain courses, such as the ones offered by the NEC, since you are on a job seeker allowance, a JSA. If it becomes known that you are undertaking a kind of study at home, you might get cut off for trying to get a qualification. Sometimes, living in poverty in the UK makes you feel attacked. Sincerely, you will be under attack from many sources, and that is how it feels to be poor in this land. You'll feel attacked from within for not being able to use the latest trend. You have to put on out-of-date or hand-me-down wares. If you're not good at it, you may be considered scruffy, and this makes it difficult to get a job. Salespersons kind of harass you, subtly though, for not being able to buy the product they're marketing. If you're poor in the UK due to disability, a loss of job and inability to find another, parenting an under 5, or a combination of 2 or 3 of these, you are still going to be under attack. People on the street and the media, or even politicians, insidiously make you feel like scum, making some statements like benefit claimants are not contributing anything to society. Some people think that if you do not have any obvious disability and you appear agile and are still on benefits, you're somehow a lazy cheat and you're in it for free money. It is only who understands the circumstances of your poverty in the UK that can show some understanding. Conclusively, the kind of poverty in the United Kingdom is not, making you feel poor unless someone wealthier shows you how poor you are and what you're missing out on because of poverty. It is pretty similar in most affluent lands. It is worse to be living in a big city when you are poor because the wealth that oppresses you and that you crave is always around the corner. Have you seen someone living poor in the UK? We hope you're not the one. Please tell us what you think in the comments section below. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, comment, and turn on the notification bell. This is Learning Canteen.